Time. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
How are we all feeling on this fine Saturday morning? Because I'm feeling pretty fine.
I'm feeling pretty okay.
It's a resounding, maybe not a resounding, but that's a great review of your Saturday.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels pretty resounding to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lovely, gloomy day here today. I'm living for it.
It's actually pretty sunny. I had the curtains open and then I sat down and it was like beam of light right in my face. And I was like, should close the curtain a little bit.
Yeah. It's also, I think it's supposed to snow here later, and I'm excited.
Oh, okay. Love
Yeah.
that. It is definitely far from snowing here. It is finally like cool and chilly. Like I'm wearing a sweater. So lovely.
That's new for Texas. It's crazy times.
Mm-hmm. Honestly.
Yes, we both do have our cozy jumpers on. I'm so excited that I can finally wear a sweater.
Yeah.
Like a thick sweater, you know?
I can't really like wear it all day, but if I go outside, it's nice. But like in my room, for some reason, it's like a furnace in where my room is in the house.
So you're suffering for the vibes.
Well, in the morning, it's a little cool. Like the heat hasn't quite. I just opened the curtains a little bit, so like now the heat's coming into the room a little bit. So by the end of the live show, I might be sweating a little bit. But right now, we're chilling.
See, but like if you don't tell anybody, nobody will know that you're sweating.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you want to announce it.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
let
guys,
y'all know.
I started. I'm sweating now.
It's happening. It's happening.
I love your little display of GODKILLER behind you on your desk. Very
Thanks. I
professional.
figured out a setup where I could have Norman back here again.
Silas is never in frame because he's like behind my computer. So sorry, guys.
It's a shame.
No Silas.
Yeah, and I missed streaming in my comfy chair. I don't know why I didn't pull it out earlier.
Yeah, it's been
Because
so
I was either sitting on
long.
the floor, which is really, really uncomfortable to sit on the floor, or I was sitting like on my bed, but then the camera would always be moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But finally we got the setup going. The good setup.
I know. And like I'm moving in like 40-ish days. So like
Yeah. We gotta get the sword earrings I sometimes wear in my videos. Those swords are actually charms that I found in like the jewelry making section of Hobby Lobby. They were like $3 each, I think, on sale. So they were really cheap. And I just put them on some tiny hoops that I already had. So I'd recommend doing that. Way to get some jewelry for a good price.
Yeah. That or Etsy, if you don't want to make it yourself. People on Etsy, they've got you.
Yeah. You got everything there. You know, Etsy has gifts.
You guys see those every occasion.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Every time I see an Etsy ad, because I sell on Etsy, I'm like, this is what my money is going to. We talk for about 10 minutes-ish before we actually get to this discussion. That way we give some people some time to just hang out and
catch
join.
up.
Yeah, catch up a little bit before we start talking spoilers about GODKILLER.
Yeah. Excited to see what everybody thought, though.
I've seen some mixed reviews. A lot of DNFing in the Discord.
Oof. Not good.
How was everyone's Thanksgiving if you're from the US? Do you have a nice...
Mine was underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to celebrate yesterday because we just like couldn't do it on Thursday. And it was fine. We like played some games. We played like some Scrabble. That was a good time. I didn't win, so like not that fun, but
we should have. My family did not do board games. We really should have. That was the first time in a while my entire family's been together. So, because it's not even happening for Christmas, so it was kind of exciting that Thanksgiving was able to happen.
Yeah. So it's all about togetherness.
It's all about that togetherness. Yeah, we watched Formula One, which I now unironically love. Like, yeah. I am now into Formula One.
So not just cars, real
not
Formula
just cars
One?
too. No, I sat down and like my dad has all the races like recorded, and I'm like probably gonna go and backtrack through the season because the season finale is literally like this Sunday, like the last race of the season. And so I'm like, well, shit, now I gotta go back and like watch all the Formula One races from this season, even though I know the results. So
New hobby unlocked. Watching a Formula One racing.
Formula One.
Let's see. Don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but went to a cute little local frost fair. What is a frost fair, and how can I go to one? Because that sounds adorable.
So fun.
Oh my gosh.
I was looking at like a little winter festival, but like frost fair. That's so much cuter.
Got a really bad cold. I'm so sorry.
No, Melena.
I hope you're feeling better, or I hope you start feeling better soon.
Yeah, that's something that in the winter I don't like, is like getting sick. So knock on wood that doesn't happen.
I had a cold a few weeks ago. That was
it took her out, man. It took her out.
It really did take me out.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, there's a behind the scenes F1 thing on. Cass, you gotta get on that.
I think there's like the Netflix show, like Drive to Survive, and it shows like behind the scenes.
Oh,
so
you gonna watch it?
I'm gonna be watching that when I'm working on my map commissions.
Please.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. Your favorite holiday drink so far? I don't know if I've had a holiday drink yet, really.
Well, I say hot chocolate, but like I drink hot chocolate year round because it's the only drink that I ever buy or drink other than like water. So I'm not a coffee girly, I'm not a tea girly, but give me some hot chocolate. I'll slurp that up.
Yeah, I'd probably say hot chocolate as well.
It's a holiday staple. You know, you can't
really
go wrong with it.
Yeah.
What map is to my left? This is Akatar. The one right to my left.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So many maps behind you. What a lovely little setup you have for all the maps.
I like this little corner.
It's very cute.
Love, love, love. We'll give it a few more minutes and then we will start a discussion on GODKILLER. Whoa.
Warm apple cider has been hitting. I don't think I've ever had apple cider.
I feel like we've had this discussion before too. I remember a cider discussion.
Really? I don't remember the cider discussion.
I think it's on one of our live shows, like genuinely.
We just talk about so much random stuff. I forget it, like half of it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cider doesn't really do it for me because it's just warm applesauce, in my opinion. Maybe I just haven't had good cider.
Warm applesauce?
Yeah, that's what it like tastes like to me.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know.
That sounds
disgusting. The last time I had cider, which is ages ago. So.
But I mean, I've never had it, but I feel like I probably wouldn't like it, to be honest. I'd rather have like normal, just like apple juice, you know? I am a big fan of apple juice. Used to work at Starbucks, and we would have like a just like a bottle of apple juice, like this people would sometimes put into their drinks, but that would always be my break drink of choice, just straight apple juice.
Just straight apple juice.
It was good. And it was
probably the healthiest thing there too.
Yeah. Well, you could get like regular black coffee, and that's probably the healthiest thing you could get at Starbucks. Nasty, but healthy.
That's fair.
My first words. This is my first month in live stream. I'm excited. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining the stream.
Absolutely.
I hope we don't disappoint.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Love to see familiar faces here.
Of course.
Love to see new faces here as well. That's something when I'm like looking through my comment section, when I like see usernames and I'm like, no, I recognize those, but the profile picture changes.
I'm like, what happened? Hey. Why did you not alert me of this change?
Literally. I'm like, wait a damn minute. I know who you are.
Like, don't try and hide. I see you.
Yeah. I'm so used to like looking at the profile pictures. I'm like, wait a minute.
Hold on now. Greetings from New York City. I'm from Missouri, middle of the Midwest.
Missouri.
It is Missouri.
And I'm from down south. I live in Texas.
You be going to any Christmas markets? I don't think there are any Christmas markets in Kansas City. None that I'm aware of.
There probably are some. I feel like in cities they always have like at least a couple, but they're always like.
It's probably not very good if I had to take a guess. Nothing in Kansas City really is.
That's fair.
Yeah. Oh, hello from Sweden. Sounds fun. Anywhere but the States.
Anywhere but the States.
Oh, finally reading the infernal devices. Good. Good choice. Great selection.
Do we want to go ahead and start talking about Godkiller?
Yes, I think it is time. So,
Alrighty.
what did we all rate it?
Yes, drop your startings. What did we think about it? If you haven't read Godkiller and you're just hanging out, we will be talking with spoilers, so just be warned about that.
Yeah.
So if you wanna dip out, if you haven't read it, feel free. If you want to hang out and hear the spoilers,
I haven't
also
read it
feel
yet.
free. Neither of us have actually read it.
I'm kidding. I haven't rated it yet, to be honest. It would not be a very high rating, though. What'd you rate it?
I rated it a 2.5.
Oof.
It was a 2-star until like page, I think like 200.
Yeah.
So.
Bit thin on the plot, but the vibes were there. That's fair.
It reminded me of Enchantment of Ravens by Raven Kennedy. Like, it reminded me of like that sort of storytelling where they're like kind of just traveling, and then they're at a place and then things happen. But it's all very loose.
See, the thing is, I like a good, like quest fantasy kind of moment, but it has to be done well. And I didn't like this. I also didn't care about
2 stars DNF, 2.5, 4 stars, 3, lots of 3s.
Yeah.
Honestly, not very memorable.
That's the issue. I feel like I think that this wasn't really doing much of anything new. And like, not all fantasy has to be doing something that's new, but it has to be good. And I just didn't.
I'm just really shocked on how popular this book has gotten. Like, it's getting exclusive editions from like Illumicrate. Like, the second book is really hyped up. And I understand from that ending how people could be like invested in like seeing what happens. And had the first like 2/3 of the book not been boring, I might have thought to pick up the second book. I think what should have really been done, especially because it was so short, I don't know what's going down in the second book or if it's a duology, trilogy, or whatever, but I feel like we could have chopped the entire first half of this book out, edit that shit down to maybe like 50 pages as an introduction, and then had books 2 and 3 basically together, where you get to see all the way through with like Elo's quest and all of that. Yeah. But instead, I was pushing myself so hard to read this last night, and then I woke up this morning, I was like, I remember nothing from this book at all. Like, already gone out of the memory.
The majority of this book I had to listen to on audio because I was reading it physically and I just kept looking down at the page number. I was like, how is it? How am I still on the same page? Why is nothing happening? Why am I so bored? I ended up like doing a little coloring page while I was listening to the audiobook because I just needed something to do. And I just didn't love it.
I think another thing that caught me off guard was like, I was reading the first chapter. I'm like, okay, we're following this character. And then it was like the next chapter. I was like, okay, so we're calling 2 POVs. And then the next chapter, I'm like, okay, so 3 POVs. And then the next chapter, and I was like, 4 POVs. This book is only like 250 pages long. Why are we trying to develop 4 different characters?
No,
and yet somehow I liked well, I don't want to say I didn't like any of them. Like, they kind of grew on me, especially in the last like 50-ish pages. But there was no development in all the introduction areas of the book, I feel like.
Okay, so I see some people
really
did
cool,
like it.
But the world seemed forced and made me roll my eyes. And I think that was just the lack of character development, where you couldn't really feel the connection between those characters to really make it feel authentic. It just felt like, well, romance is what's popular. Let's just throw in a romance plot.
I was so confused when the romance started developing. They just like started having sex. I was like, how did we get here? Why? Like, what's happening? I just like, normally I'm not the kind of person that's like, I don't need romance in my fantasy. Like, no, I always want romance in my fantasy. Are you kidding me? But like for this one, it really did not need it, and it felt very forced.
Absolutely. It felt like it was like, I get subplot romances because then it's like in the background, but not like the main focus, because we have all the characters like quests. That's kind of the main focus, and like the situation with the gods. And yet somehow it just magically became the forefront for like a sliver of the book. And that was driving some of the motivations of characters, but it felt so inauthentic that I'm like,
yeah, like there was just no buildup.
Absolutely not.
The only romance buildup was Cassena washing his back in front of a child. That is romance at its finest.
At its peak. Someone said they're in the wrong crowd. I loved it. 5 stars. Love the
I'm
spirit of the
so
white knight
happy you loved
chapters.
it.
No, I
That
love
is
when people
great.
can enjoy the book club books that we pick.
Yeah.
But I also love dissing on books that we don't like as well. So
Yeah.
there's a healthy balance, I feel like we've had.
Yeah.
Those are the character names are so bad too. D&D fantasy name generator vibes. Honestly,
Honestly,
you're kind of right.
I didn't really have a problem with the character names, but now that you mention it, like, you're not wrong.
No, honestly, now that you had mentioned it, truly, I think
Yeah.
it was just like a little name generator.
Yeah, but I mean, I respect the hustle, I guess.
I felt betrayed because for some reason I thought it was a standalone. I think when we picked it, was there a second book announced when we had picked it?
Well, I mean, on the back of this book, it says it's the first book in a trilogy. So, honestly, I was kind of thinking it was a standalone for such a long time, though, and I was really impressed that it was a fantasy standalone under 300 pages, which is why I was so interested in it, like, to begin with. But honestly, if I had known it was a trilogy, I probably wouldn't have picked it up.
Yeah. I went into this book like knowing that I was not going to like it, and like knowing that I was gonna have to struggle through it. Just I got the vibes from like the Goodreads reviews and what people were talking about already in the Discord, and I was like, all right, here we go. And that felt like the longest 250-page book I've ever read in my life.
Yeah. I was like, it's gonna be such a fast read.
The writing, I'm not usually like too pretentious when it comes to like writing styles, but there were things that annoyed me so hard in this book. There was no showing. It was all telling in this book. Every character like feeling was explained to you instead of using like context clues to pick up on. I feel like she really treated the reader like they were dumb and like truly like explained, and not just like with the gods and like that sort of explanation, because like the first chapter was full of just info dumping. It's like, we have character, who is this character? We have this character name, who is this character? And it's like this character, and there was like an introduction after every little thing that was mentioned, and yet repeated further into the book as well. And also something that really got me, there's 2 scenarios where like the same thing was repeated like line for line, like a page later. Is that
Sorry, Winnie has decided to make an appearance.
I just saw the tail.
Yeah.
I was complaining about something. Oh, in the very beginning, when we're told that Kissen has like a gold tooth, right? It is mentioned twice that she like let out a gold tooth smile, like within like 2 pages, and I'm like, okay, weird. I'll forgive it. But then later, when Elo is talking to Inara in the bar, he like looks around before says anything, and then speaks to Inara. And then like a page later, he does the same thing, same exact phrasing of he looked around to make sure no one was listening, and then spoke to Inara. And I was like, and there was a typo as well that I caught where they used like the wrong like word or something.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the author's like debut novel, not an excuse, like obviously for bad writing, but maybe just like an explanation as to why it wasn't like great. But also, it's being traditionally published, so you would think like somebody would catch that. I didn't really have an issue with the writing. I was also listening to it very casually. Very casually.
In our little coloring book.
Yeah, I just like, I could not get myself to care about this book, so my mind was wandering a lot. Which is not good.
Someone said I forgot she had a gold tooth. And it's so funny too, because it was mentioned so much in the beginning. It was like her tooth lodged into the rope, which is why she lost it. And it was like she had a gold tooth smile. She had a gold tooth smile. She like smiled with her little gold tooth. And I'm like, why? Why?
That's her only
yeah,
personality trait. She got her gold tooth.
I don't know what it is with like the whole like being traditionally published. Like, you have an editor, right? Like, they should catch things like that. Like, maybe we shouldn't use the exact same phrasing within 2 pages of each other. And I know I'm like nitpicking, but I was annoyed enough to remember. I don't remember much about this book. Couldn't remember the characters' names, but man, did I remember she had a gold tooth.
Yeah.
Someone said the king being the villain was so random. We saw him for only like 5 minutes in the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't really predict that happening. I mean, I thought it was kind of sus, but I didn't really think it was gonna go anywhere in the first book, really. But I didn't see it coming.
I honestly thought that we were setting up Sketty to be an antagonist because of
Yeah.
how sketchy he was being. And that made more sense. Like, we're
Yeah.
told not to trust the gods. They're always like working for themselves, kissing, GODKILLER. And then we see that when Sketty like manipulates Elo and Inari, and yet the king is randomly like the villain out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I feel like there was no like foreshadowing on that, because that conversation in the beginning, like looking back at that, there was nothing I feel like that sketchy that went down in that conversation. It was really desperate, really random, but it made sense because apparently the king was like dying, right?
Yeah.
So that conversation kind of checked out. But the entire like adventure with Sketty, I'm like, this little god is so sus.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like had there been build up to the king being the villain and like maybe some hints dropped, it would have been cool, but like it just wasn't. But I was also thinking Sketty was going to turn out to be like a little villain, and I would have been way more on board with that and probably more invested in that, seeing as we got his POV. Like that would have been a cool kind of twist to, maybe it wouldn't have been like a twist necessarily because you kind of see it coming, but I think something could have been done with him being the villain, and it would have been a lot more interesting.
Or even him working with the king, right? Like if we got chapters where Sketty's like communicating with the king, or like communicating with some random person who has like a personality similar to the king, so we can put the pieces together. But having like a big plot twist like that with no build up, it doesn't land, right? If you have a plot twist where you have pieces laid down and then it's the plot twist, it's so much more satisfying than just a random plot twist that feels so just out of place.
Yeah. I said the king's betrayal would have hurt more if Elo was in love with him. I thought Elo was in love with him, honestly. The way Elo kept talking about him, I was like, so like, yeah. And like that would have been so much, like, it would have meant more to the characters. It would have hurt more. I probably would have been more invested in it. But that also wasn't really developed. It was just kind of like,
it was like mentioned and yet like dismissed.
Yeah.
I was like, why bring it up? Like that would have been a perfect opportunity to be like, yeah, I am in love with him, so what?
Yeah, and that would have been, I feel like it would have been a much better reveal.
Instead of just like them having this discussion and then Kissing and Elo sleeping together and then hating each other the next day. And yeah,
a lot of things that just didn't make sense.
Exactly. And like Milena, I feel like everything in this book was told to you. Like you didn't get to put the pieces together yourself. The author really did explain everything that you were supposed to be feeling about every single character.
Yeah. I just think it lacks nuance. There's just things that as a reader you're supposed to be able to infer. And like that's what makes books good. That's what makes writing good.
And I understand it's a debut, but then also part of me is like, well, how did this get published, right? In an industry that is so competitive. And then how is it getting so popular as well?
It just felt so bland.
I feel like it's a very average book. I can see why people like it a little bit. I can see why people hate it, but it feels very average. Like even the Goodreads ratings are actually pretty low.
Yeah.
And yet it's very popular.
Yeah, I feel like even recently, because this book came out, I think maybe earlier, like very early this year. But like recently, I've seen like a bunch of people like reaching to pick it up, maybe because the second one's coming out. But I just don't understand why.
Yeah. I understand like the want to figure out like the plot in the future. I think they left it on a decent cliffhanger to be intrigued. But with all the like, I think the thing that gets me is all the special editions coming out for it. That I don't understand. Because I feel like it's just a really average book.
Although some of those special editions, they are gorgeous. I'm not gonna buy one, but some of the art for this series is really pretty.
No, I can respect that. Absolutely.
It's a shame.
The cover is really nice, so like I understand.
I do love the cover, but this book is getting on hold.
Yeah,
Okay, I think somebody asked who's your favorite character? Who was your favorite character out of the book? It could be something fun.
Honestly, probably Inara, because she had the most character development.
Yeah.
And she had the most intriguing storyline, I feel like. because in the beginning she was like a whiny little scared person who really was like controlled by Sketty, but like didn't realize it. And then when the whole situation happened with Sketty and like with the adventure and everything, she kind of grew into herself. So I think her, just because she had the most interesting development and all the characters, like Kissin, I feel like I would have liked had. I just feel like we didn't get enough character into our characters. They felt very stale, like a
Yeah.
saltine cracker.
I would probably also agree, like for basically the same reasons that Inara was my favorite. I found myself being the most like engaged during her chapters, but I did really like her dynamic with Kissin, and I feel like it kind of humanized Kissin in a way to see how she was interacting with Inara and kind of stepping into like a not like a parental figure, but like just somebody for her to like look up to now that like her mother got burnt to a crisp. But I liked their dynamic, and that was probably one of the only kind of aspects of the characters that I really did enjoy. But no, I mean, I liked Sketty. I thought he was kind of interesting, and I liked seeing like his development over the course of the book as well. I also liked his name because it sounds like a 4-year-old trying to say like spaghetti, but
Sketty.
It's just a cute name.
No, and his chapters were pretty good too, because it was nice seeing his motivations, especially when I thought he was going to be an antagonist. I was like, okay, I love a little like antagonist POV. That's something a little fresh, something a little different.
It could have been so good.
Yeah.
They make you like this character.
Oh, I was asking the audience.
Oh, I thought you were asking me. I was like, did I not just say that?
Actually, I zoned out for the past 5 minutes. Can you repeat?
That's valid. I read this about 2 weeks ago, and I genuinely don't remember any of the characters.
It's just bland. That's why. I feel like Kissin is the character that I should have liked the most, because she seems right at the alley of like the badass female characters that I like, but I just don't think Hannah Kaner really like nailed the character part of the story.
There weren't many aspects of the like to her character that I found likable, really. Like her being a badass is cool, but you need something to kind of balance that out with, and she didn't really have that for the most part. Like seeing her interact with her friends was nice. Like, oh wow, people actually do like her. That's a good sign. But I maybe like need more of that or something. I don't know.
Yeah. How did Kissin's dad even manage to rip her leg off in a burning building? I think that was the work of the god, right? Because he made two sacrifices. It was like sacrifice her leg for her life and sacrifice my life for her life, from what I recall in the beginning.
Man, I think
that's. I remember flipping back to be like, she got out. Why does she have a pole through her leg? Did her dad stab her? Hold on. That beginning prologue was kind of a mess, and I knew straight away. I was like, uh-oh.
I liked the prologue.
150 pages of this.
I had high hopes because of the prologue. I was like, a good prologue where somebody's entire family is being murdered. That's intriguing. Didn't really continue on.
Didn't really lead anywhere. I like the concept of the gods. I think that kind of world building was pretty neat. Like humans create gods intentionally or not.
Yeah.
That is intriguing as a plot. I just wasn't really invested enough in the rest of the book to really care.
I like calling Kissin Dollar Tree Geralt. Geralt? Is it G? I don't know how you say it, but the dude from The Witcher.
Oh, okay. I was like, who is that?
Who is that?
Do you think this book should have been longer or shorter?
I think longer, maybe, and written better. Things condensed.
It should have just been better.
I think things could have been condensed. I think it could have. Man, I don't know. What would make this book better?
What I said in the beginning kind of stands for my opinion of like, now that I know this is a trilogy, I think they could have chopped out the front half of the first book, combined it with the second, and made it duology.
Yeah. Or just like go bold and make it a standalone.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want more fantasy standalones.
I think people aren't doing standalones though, just because like the publishing part of it, like the money making part, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get why they don't make standalones, but I'm just putting it out there that I would like some more standalones.
Have you read Lore?
No.
By Alexander Bracken, I think. Oh, that's a good standalone.
We'll keep in mind.
It's fast paced, high action.
Yeah. High action. Kissing's
As
friends.
much as the plot was sorry, as much as the plot was unique, it just didn't compel me to read as quickly as I usually do. Me either. I usually read like about 100 pages an hour, and I texted Katie. I was like, I'm suffering. I was like, I get to 115. It's been like 2 hours because I can't get through this book.
I was shocked.
I was like, okay, I can finish this in 2 hours. We'll be done. I was like, okay, I've read for like a half hour. I was like, I'm not done.
And mind you, this was last night at like 9 p.m. when she texted me this.
I finished this book at 2 in the morning. I just kept getting distracted by everything because I was like, I can't do this. And I was like, no, I need to finish this book. And I would like work on something else. I'm like, no, listen, like I was going to wake up early and finish it this morning. I'm like, no, I know myself. That's not going to happen. I'm like, okay, I'll stay up. And I'm like, how did it take me another hour to read 50 more pages?
Yeah, I feel like I was going to say it was too long.
Skimming
It's not
too.
too long.
That's the bad thing. I was skimming so hard, and yet it still took me. That was the longest, shortest book I've ever read.
Yeah, I thought this would be a really good pick for the book club. I was like, oh, it'd be a nice short one, kind of a change of pace, seeing as we usually pick books that are like decently long, but no, it still took forever.
Yeah, I like the whole god of beauty messing up the town idea, and the lost shoe god was a good intriguing. I think, see, like near the end when they started like interacting in the city that had all the gods, like if we started closer to that city in the beginning of the book, I feel like it would have been better. Like if the climax of the book was more towards like the middle in terms of like the face off with the fire god.
Yeah.
And like the whole plot reveal of the king, because then we could have developed the second half of the book to then lead up to the war that might be happening or might not be happening.
Man, you should just write this book. Send an email to Hannah Kaner, be like, look, I just have some edits for you.
Please don't do that, y'all.
No.
I've seen some like people that are like beta readers, or some authors talk about like certain beta readers, or like people that get arcs. I think it's people that get arcs thinking that they're beta readers and like giving their critiques and like edits, and I'm like, y'all, no.
I would never feel confident enough to email an author and be like, look, this is good, but like it could be better.
But like, here's some notes.
Yeah. Would you read any other books by this author? No. I'm not going to read the sequel. I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to diss on the author being like, I don't think she has promise, but
no, I think she definitely does.
I think she does, and I think it's just going to take her some time to develop her skills. But I don't think it's going to be developed through this trilogy.
Yeah, it's just, maybe depending on the like synopsis of a different series that she writes, maybe I would pick it up, but I'm definitely not going to continue this series.
Oh, speaking of Priory, Samantha Shannon blurbed the front of this book.
She did.
I felt so betrayed.
Can't believe Samantha Shannon would do me like that.
I felt so betrayed when I read that. I was like, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. Wait. I just read the rest of the comment. They said, Priory of the Orange Tree took me 100 years to read, and I'm usually a fairly fast reader, but I felt like I suffered from the telling not showing bug too. Maybe that is why Samantha Shannon liked this book so much.
Oh man, it's been forever since I've read Priory, but I know it also took me a really long time to get through it. I think it's well written, but I think you're probably right in your assessment, B.
Y'all, that's on my 2024 TBR.
Oof. Good luck.
I still want to pick it up, but I know it's going to take me forever. Like every Brandon Sanderson. Well, no, Brandon Sanderson's a little different. Other than Way of Kings, I have not been able to pick that back up.
There's a chance
I have almost convinced my brother to read Brandon Sanderson, though.
Oh, what book would you tell him to start with?
I told him to start with either like the Mistborn trilogy or Warbreaker, but he was like, no, I have a Brandon Sanderson on my shelf. And he's like, oh, I have the Way of Kings. I'm like, I mean, you can start there.
Hey, that's what I started with. And I still continue to read more.
Hey, he has good taste. He's also read Sarah J. Maas, so.
What series?
Both. They're not Crescent City, but Akatar and Throne of Glass. He read those years ago, though, like back before it was like super popular.
Yeah. Oh, he was there before the hype.
Yeah, well, he was there before the hype, I was being a little book influencer with my family sphere.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. there's always a chance that the next book in the series might get way better. But then again, considering the first book, it's hard to pick up the next. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she lost a lot of people with the writing, but for the people that did enjoy it, I think the cliffhanger was good enough that I understand why people are picking up the next book.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just a very average book. I think for like new fantasy readers or new readers, I can understand why they're like, this is really cool. But
I feel like there are just so many other things that I would rather be reading.
yeah.
There's like so many other books on my TBR that I would rather prioritize than this.
Yeah.
Do we have any other?
I think it was hard to kind of stretch this live show because the book is very short.
Yeah.
I think we like hit a lot of like main topics that happened in this book.
But if anybody has anything else to add, totally keep talking. Or we can talk about other things.
Yeah, we can chitter chatter about whatever. So
Alright,
what's your next book on your TBR?
Is that just like the next book that I'm gonna pick up?
Yeah.
I think I should pick up Royal Assassin. I don't know if I will. It's just so long.
Yeah.
What about you?
Book. I ditched my entire TBR and picked up the Wiseman Sphere the other night. So
of course you did.
So I'm working through that.
Yeah.
It's across the way. But I'm like a fifth of the way in. I'm having so much fun. It was so worth it.
That's good.
But yeah, I started filming a vlog and then I was like, I read one book, didn't really like it. I read the sequel to Fable. I read Namesake by Adrienne Young.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I gave it like a 2.5 star as well. So I've had 2 back-to-back 2.5 stars. So I'm like, I need something good that I know will be good. And I was looking at my TBR and I was like, the Wiseman Sphere is calling my name. The name of the wind? No, that's the name of the Wiseman Sphere.
The Wiseman Sphere.
Oh my goodness. I literally finished 2 books while reading this, and I still started and finished one last night too. So that explains a lot. Yeah, it's just not a book. If I hadn't read this in one sitting, it would have absolutely been a struggle to get. Well, I mean, one sitting, I definitely like paced around my room, packed some orders, went back to reading it. I was like, this sucks. But if I didn't read it in one go, I feel like I definitely would have DNF'd it like almost immediately had it not been for the book club.
No, me too.
Which is always so hard when you know that you're not gonna like a book for book club, but then you have to read it. I'm like,
I know it's the worst, honestly.
But this has been a good discussion. So honestly, the pain and suffering last night has been worth it.
I feel like for how we felt about the book, we still good
discourse.
Yeah. Oh, what are your top anticipated winter reads, Cass?
Oh God, Divine Rivals. That's not really a winter read, but like the second book is coming out.
The book you're gonna read in winter.
Yeah. I'm reading that around the time Ruthless Vows comes out. I was talking to Jan Agaton the other day, and she had said Divine Rivals was one of like her favorite books of the year. So maybe even more excited to pick up Divine Rivals. I liked the other Rebecca Ross book that I've read, so I think I'm really gonna enjoy that. I don't know. I'm supposed to sort out my December TBR today, and I can't think of any other books that I have on my December TBR. Finishing the Wiseman Sphere, that's kind of my anticipated read right now.
Yeah. I think for me, probably The Starless Sea is my top anticipated winter read. I don't think it's very wintry itself, but pretty sure it's going to be very magical, which that means it's a wintry read. Erin Morgenstern. It's the one you didn't want to read. I suggested to Cass like a couple months ago that we read The Starless Sea for a December book pick, and immediately she was like, no.
I vetoed that so hard. Not. I'm not touching Erin Morgenstern ever again, okay? After the Night Circus, absolutely not. I read the Night Circus back in like 2019, 2020, I think, because I was really into Clockworth Reader at the time, and that was like her favorite book, and I was like, well, I gotta pick this up. And I slogged through that 2-star. I think Katie, like, I knew you enjoyed the Night Circus, yeah?
Oh, I loved it. I very much enjoyed it.
And I figured you would, but I'm like, I just know that I'm not going to like that. To be fair, though, I wasn't all hi-ho about GODKILLER either. When it was suggested, I was like, okay.
Like, it's fine.
Whatever.
Offer a better suggestion next time.
Oh, next year we're doing something a little different, though.
Ooh,
it's kind of exciting.
You'll find out what that is at some
I'm probably
point in
gonna
time.
announce
We
it
haven't talked about when we're talking about it yet.
I think a little like beginning of December, middle of December,
Yeah.
early December.
I hope you guys will be excited about it because I'm really excited about it.
Please be enthusiastic about this.
If you don't like it, please don't let me know. I'm sensitive. And this was my idea, so I don't want to know.
Yeah, and if it goes wrong, everyone diss on Katie, okay? You can private message me to diss on Katie, okay? Feel free.
No, I think you guys will like it. I think
I think yeah, especially with what I've like heard about a lot in like the book club as of late, I think y'all are like the changes.
Yeah. Found the Night Circus really boring. It hurts me, Molly.
Let's see. Someone's reading Red Rising. I am really excited for Red Rising. That is our December book club book pick, in case you missed the announcement. Our second sci-fi book of book club.
Getting into our sci-fi mode.
Honestly, I'm just excited to pick up more sci-fi next year.
Honestly, me too. Never thought I'd see the day.
We've got a lot of people reading Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives. I've seen The Way of Kings, Oathbringer. The 5th book is coming out end of 2024.
November.
Yeah, end of 2024. And then that's it for like many years.
Yeah, that's like the first arc of it completed.
Which is perfect timing to get into it.
I'm so excited to pick up Oathbringer this month.
And then he's writing another trilogy in the Mistborn world.
He is?
Yeah, I saw an announcement somewhere. I don't remember where. But so he's writing another 3 in the Mistborn world. And then that's coming out at the end of the year. Warbreaker 2 is still way on the back burner. That's not happening. But then there's something else. I think he's writing a second book too. And I can't remember what it was.
Is it
I don't remember where I saw that announcement.
Is he writing a second book to Elantris at some point?
That might have been the one, but don't quote me on that because I can't really remember.
I'm just manifesting that the next Mistborn trilogy will not be Gunslinger Wild West vibes.
Yeah, the Wax and Wane arc of Mistborn was almost good, but not quite. I thought that I might enjoy it. I was like, I've never read a Western because it's not really my thing, but potentially it could be fun. I was like, no. It introduced some interesting things, but I don't know where this arc of Mistborn is going to fall. It's going to fall like between the Gunslinger era and like the Mistborn, or like before it, or like after, like I don't know.
I did not know that. Very fun news.
Yeah. So.
Man's always writing. Too true.
Yeah, I'm glad I got into him when I did because he has so many works published already that I can like go through.
Yeah.
But now that I'm catching up very rapidly, like I'm probably halfway through his backlog of books by now, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Someone's reading Powerless for my Patreon book club. Guys, you gotta get on Powerless. It is so good. It was so good.
Which one was that about?
It's like it's a fantasy romance kind of Hunger Games-y situation. It wasn't like the best book ever, but the romance was so good. And I'd highly recommend.
Love that. I'm worried about Red Rising, as I've heard really mixed reviews. I think it's just really popular though, so I feel like that's kind of a known.
I've seen a bunch of people really loving the series, just like in general in the book community.
I was really worried because I thought it was 6 books, but apparently it's trilogy, and then the next 3 follow a different character. I'm like, okay, good. But I think Katie and I are less picky about sci-fi just because we haven't read enough sci-fi to really develop our taste in sci-fi.
Yeah, I don't know what's good. Just hand me anything. I'm like, wow, there's aliens?
Aliens and planets.
Ooh, they're riding in a spaceship? That's so sick. Science.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty, do we have any final thoughts? My tummy is a rumbling. That usually dictates when these live streams end. Is like
it's time for Cass to go get some breakfast.
Time for me to grab myself a bagel.
Or brunch.
Yeah. Kind of brunchy at this point.
Kind of brunchy. Well.
Thank you
guys
so much for joining us
for coming to hang out with us on this Saturday.
for
I'm not
listeners
going to say
to
morning
complain
because it could be at
about
afternoon,
GODKILLER.
evening for you. Whenever.
This was really fun. I love when we have like good engaging discussions. So thank you to everyone that always participates in the chat. You
Love you
helped lead
guys.
this live show. It
We
wouldn't
certainly
be the
can't do
same
it
without y'all.
ourselves. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next month for the Red Rising live show.
November 30th.
It'll be on Cass's. Is it this way? What way points to Cass? This way?
For me, you're this way, but I think it's swapped.
She's somewhere.
People.
It's on her channel. You'll see it. Okay. Bye.
Bye.